After the celestial forces failed to capture Sun Wukong, the Jade Emperor sent True Lord Erlang to fight him. During their fierce battle, Wukong was tricked by Lord Lao Zi and captured. However, no weapon, whether sword, axe, fire, or lightning, could harm him. Lord Lao Zi then threw Wukong into his furnace, where he was refined for 49 days, emerging with fire eyes with golden pupils. Wukong leapt out of the furnace and continued his havoc in heaven, but was finally outwitted by the Buddha and trapped beneath the Five Elements mountain. After Sun Wukong's rebellion, the celestial forces were defeated, leaving the Jade Emperor troubled. At this point, Guanyin arrived and, after hearing the situation, ordered her disciple Huiyan to assist. Huiyan, holding an iron staff, arrived at the mountain of flowers and fruit and asked, "Who is the great sage equaling heaven?" Sun Wukong replied,
"That's me. Who are you?"
Huiyan declared,
"I am the second son of Li Jing and disciple of Guanyin, here to capture you."
Sun Wukong laughed.
"Enough talk! Take my staff first!"
He struck. Huiyan blocked the attack, and they began fighting on the mountainside. After 50 or 60 rounds, Huiyan's arms grew weak, and he feigned an attack before retreating. Sun Wukong didn't pursue him and stood laughing on the mountain. Huiyan returned to heaven in defeat, leaving the Jade Emperor worried. Guanyin thought for a moment and said, "Your Majesty, I know a god who can capture this monkey." The Jade Emperor asked, "Who?" Guanyin replied, "The illustrious sage and True Lord Erlang from Guangjiankou." The Jade Emperor sent the strong-armed Devil King to Guangjiankou to deliver the decree, ordering Erlang Shen to eliminate Sun Wukong, with a promise of great reward and promotion. Erlang Shen joyfully agreed.
"I'll set out at once."
Erlang Shen led the 6 sworn brothers of Plum Hill for marshals, Kang, Zhang, Yao, and Li, and generals Guoshen and Zhijian. With his troops, an eagle, and a dog, they raised a storm and crossed the eastern sea, heading straight for the mountain of flowers and fruit. Upon reaching the mountain, Erlang Shen ordered his troops to surround it. He approached the water curtain cave, saw the banner reading "Great Sage Equaling Heaven," and sneered.
"What skills does this monkey have to call himself a sage?"
Then he loudly challenged Sun Wukong. Sun Wukong, wearing a golden cap and armor, came out with his staff and asked,
"Which junior dares challenge me?"
Erlang Shen shouted,
"I am the nephew of the Jade Emperor, and my title is Merciful and Miraculous King Erlang. I'm here by imperial decree to capture you."
Sun Wukong laughed.
"I recall the Jade Emperor's younger sister descended to the mortal realm and had a son who once split the Peach Mountain to save his mother. Is that you?"
Furious, Erlang Shen shouted,
"Damn monkey!"
He thrust his 3-pointed, double-edged spear at Sun Wukong, who dodged and countered with his staff. They fought over 300 rounds without a winner. The True Lord Erlang showed his divine power, transforming into a towering figure with a blue face, red hair, and holding his 3-pointed, double-edged spear, charging at Wukong like a mountain. Wukong, not to be outdone, transformed to match Erlang's size, raising his golden-banded staff like a pillar holding up the sky to block the attack. The 6 brothers of Plum Hill took the chance to lead their troops in an assault on the water curtain cave. The monkey soldiers couldn't resist and fled. Seeing his monkey army in retreat, Wukong panicked and shrank back to normal size, escaping. He ran outside the cave but was blocked by the Plum Hill brothers, who shouted,
"Where do you think you're going, monkey?"
In a panic, Wukong hid his staff in his ear and transformed into a sparrow, flying into the trees. The brothers couldn't find him and shouted,
"The monkey demon escaped!"
Just then, Erlang arrived. With his sharp eyes, he recognized the sparrow as Wukong and transformed into a hawk, diving to attack. Wukong quickly transformed into a large cormorant and soared into the sky. Erlang responded by turning into a crane, chasing him through the clouds. Wukong dived down into a stream, transforming into a fish. The True Lord Erlang reached the stream and, seeing no sign of Wukong, thought,
That monkey must have turned into a fish.
He then transformed into a fishing eagle and flew over the water. As Wukong swam, he saw the eagle and thought,
That must be Erlang waiting for me.
He quickly turned and splashed away. Erlang noticed the fish retreat and thought,
Why would a fish flee from me? It must be the monkey.
He quickly swooped down and snapped at it. Wukong hastily transformed into a water snake, slithering ashore into the grass. Erlang turned into a gray crane with a sharp beak, trying to catch the snake. The snake leaped up and transformed into a bustard standing in the reeds. Erlang saw through the trick and returned to his true form, pulling out a slingshot and shooting Wukong, knocking him off balance. Taking the chance, Wukong tumbled down the cliff and transformed into a small temple to a local god. His mouth became the door, his teeth the door panels, his eyes the windows. The only thing he couldn't hide was his tail, which he turned into a flagpole behind the temple. The True Lord Erlang reached the bottom of the cliff, saw the small temple, and laughed.
What kind of temple has a flagpole at the back? This must be the monkey's trick. Let me smash the windows and kick the doors down.
Wukong, hearing this, panicked.
He's ruthless. If he breaks my teeth and blinds me, what then?
He quickly leapt into the air and disappeared. Unable to find Wukong, the True Lord Erlang flew into the air and encountered Heavenly King Li and Nezha. Li Jing raised his fiend-detecting mirror, scanning the surroundings, and laughed.
True Lord, quickly chase him! The monkey is heading for your temple at Guanjianku!
Erlang immediately gave chase. Wukong reached Guanjianku and transformed into Erlang's likeness, entering his temple. The temple judges, mistaking him for the True Lord Erlang, knelt in greeting. Wukong sat in the middle, inspecting the incense offerings, prayers for children and requests for health. While Wukong was checking the offerings, the True Lord Erlang barged in. The demon judges were confused.
Why is there another the True Lord Erlang?
Wukong revealed himself and laughed.
Your temple now belongs to Sun.
Enraged, the True Lord Erlang attacked with his blade. Wukong countered with his staff, and they fought their way out of the temple. As they fought through the air, they arrived back at the mountain of flowers and fruit, where the 6 brothers of Plum Hill had been waiting and joined the attack. Meanwhile, the Jade Emperor grew anxious in heaven and went to the southern gate with his ministers to watch the battle. They saw the gods trapping Wukong in their heaven and earth net, locked in a fierce fight. Lord Lao Zi pulled a bracelet from his sleeve and said,
This is Diamond Jade, my personal treasure. It can aid the True Lord Erlang.
He then threw it down from heaven. In the midst of his battle, Wukong was struck on the head by the falling Diamond Jade, causing him to stumble and fall. Wukong got up and tried to flee, but Erlang's celestial hound caught up and bit him on the leg, causing him to fall again. Wukong cursed.
You mad dog! You should be guarding your master's home, not biting me!
As he tried to get up, the gods rushed forward, tied him up, and pierced his shoulder blades to prevent him from transforming. The True Lord Erlang brought Wukong to heaven, and the Jade Emperor was overjoyed, ordering the strong-armed Devil King to execute him by cutting him into pieces. The Devil King escorted Wukong to the Demon Beheading Tower and tied him to the Demon Subduing Pillar. However, no weapon, whether sword, axe, or spear, could harm him. The Southern Dipper Star was furious and ordered the fire gods to burn Wukong, but he wasn't harmed. The Thunder God struck him with lightning, but it didn't even singe a hair. The strong-armed Devil King reported to the Jade Emperor, who was shocked. Lord Lao Zi said,
The monkey has eaten the elixir and now has an indestructible body.
Let's place him in my 8 trigrams furnace and burn him with both martial and civil flames until his body turns to ashes." The Jade Emperor agreed, and Wukong was handed over to Lord Lao Zi. Meanwhile, True Lord Erlang was rewarded with imperial wine and pearls before returning to Guanjianku. Lord Lao Zi took Wukong to his Tushita palace, removed his bindings, and placed him into the 8 trigrams furnace, ordering his attendants to stoke the fire. Inside, the furnace was divided into the 8 trigrams: Qian, Can, Zhen, Zhen, Sun, Li, Kuan, and Dui. Wukong noticed no fire in the sun position and hid there. The smoke from the fire irritated his eyes, turning them into his famous
fire eyes with golden pupils.
After 49 days, Lord Lao Zi believed the process was complete and opened the furnace. Just then, Wukong rubbed his eyes, heard a noise, and jumped out, knocking over the 8 trigrams furnace. Wukong walked out, knocking down anyone who tried to stop him. Lord Lao Zi caught up, but Wukong flipped him over and escaped. He left Tushita Palace, pulled out his golden-banded staff, and swept through the heavens, forcing the 9 bright shiners and the 4 heavenly kings to flee. No god could stop him. Wukong fought his way to the Hall of Miraculous Mist but was blocked by Spirit Officer Wang, who said,
"Where are you going, monkey? I won't let you pass."
Wukong attacked, and Wang met him with his golden mace. 36 thunder generals arrived and surrounded Wukong. Without fear, he transformed into his 3-headed, 6-armed form, wielding 3 golden-banded staffs, spinning like a whirlwind, terrifying the gods. The Jade Emperor, alarmed by the commotion, sent miracle official Yi and the helpful sage and True Lord to the west to invite the Buddha. The envoys explained Wukong's rebellion, and Buddha said to the Bodhisattvas, "Sit tight. I will handle this." The Buddha called his disciples Ananda and Kasyapa and went to the heavenly palace, where Wukong was surrounded. He commanded,
"Cease the fighting and bring the great sage to me."
The gods obeyed, and Wukong returned to his normal form, angrily shouting,
"Who are you to question me?"
The Buddha smiled.
"I am Venerable Sakyamuni from the western land of perfect bliss. I hear you've caused havoc in heaven. What is your reason?"
Wukong shouted,
There's a saying, the Emperor's throne passes in turn. It's my turn now. Tell the Jade Emperor to move out, and I'll stop.
The Buddha laughed.
"What makes you think you deserve heaven's throne?"
Wukong replied,
I have 72 transformations and can leap 3,600 miles in one somersault.
The Buddha said,
"Let's make a bet. If you can leap out of my palm in one jump, I'll ask the Jade Emperor to give you heaven. If not, you'll return to the mortal world and stop causing trouble."
Wukong thought to himself,
This Buddha is a complete idiot. I can leap 3,600 miles. How could I not escape his hand?
he said aloud.
Deal! Can you really decide for the Jade Emperor?
Buddha replied,
"I can."
and extended his palm like a lotus leaf, saying, "Come." Wukong stashed his golden-banded staff, leapt onto Buddha's palm, and shouted,
Off I go!
Somersaulting through the clouds like a whirlwind, he sped away. On his journey, Wukong saw 5 towering, flesh-colored pillars reaching into the sky. He thought,
This must be the edge of the world. I'll leave a mark so Buddha can't deny it.
Wukong plucked a hair, blew on it to turn it into a brush, and rode on the middle pillar.
The great sage equaling heaven was here.
Then, for good measure, he urinated at the base of the first pillar. Satisfied, Wukong somersaulted back to Buddha and said,
I've returned from the edge of the world. Now have the Jade Emperor give me heaven.
Buddha laughed and replied,
"You little monkey! You haven't even left my hand."
Wukong argued,
"I reached the edge of the world and left my mark. Dare you go check?"
Buddha replied. No need. Just look down. Wukong looked and saw.
The great sage equaling heaven was here,
written on Buddha's finger, along with the smell of his urine. Shocked, Wukong thought,
how is this possible? Does he have powers of foresight?
Just as he prepared to leap again, Buddha flipped his hand and threw him out of the western gate. Buddha turned his 5 fingers into 5 mountains, gold, wood, water, fire, and earth, calling them the
5 Elements Mountain,
trapping Wukong beneath them. The gods, along with Ananda and Kasyapa, folded their hands and exclaimed, How wonderful! The Jade Emperor, overjoyed at the defeat of the monkey, held a grand banquet to honor Buddha, inviting all the deities to celebrate. Music filled the air, and joy abounded. Wukong, trapped beneath the mountain, raged and shouted,
Buddha, you tricked me!
He used all his strength, causing the rocks to tremble, and managed to poke his head out. A patrol official saw this and rushed to report to the Jade Emperor, who was startled along with the other gods. Buddha calmly said,
No need to worry.
He took a talisman from his sleeve and handed it to Ananda, telling him to place it on the mountain. Ananda placed the talisman on a square stone atop the mountain, and with a loud crash, the rocks sealed together, pinning Wukong even tighter. After the banquet, Buddha took his leave and left the heavenly gate with his 2 disciples. Feeling compassionate, he summoned the earth god of 5 Elements Mountain and instructed,
When the monkey is hungry, feed him iron pellets. When thirsty, give him molten copper.
With that, he returned to the Western Paradise.